Truth burns like fire. You can hear the crowd lean closer when the shadows start to fade. There's no spin, no silver soldier, just the echo of what's real today. And I've been waiting for this all my life, to see the light behind the noise. Yeah, I've been waiting for the night to strike. Tailspin rolls, we find our voice. Tailspin on X tonight. No spin, just truth, just light. You can feel that pulse ignite. At 7 p.m. we rise tonight. There's a hum behind the data, a code that won't lie still. You can dress the truth in makeup, but the light cuts through the veil at will. And I've been waiting for this all my life, to hear the sound that breaks the lie. Yeah, I've been waiting for this fire inside. Tailspin calls and we testify.
Crazy. I've heard about this. I think I've seen once I don't know if it was documentary or just a quick short video, as I'm trying to like recall. Uh, but I do remember, they go out somewhere and um they they kind of meditate and kind of focus their thoughts into calling something, which, Mav, I'll be honest, I'd rather go ahead and do that than go to a haunted mansion or house.
So would you be willing to do this, guy? Would you be willing to go out into a wooded area in a forest or out in a field somewhere? It's nice and quiet and attempting this, or would you not want to do that either?
I'm more likely to do this, go out somewhere and sit down with a bunch of hippies. I mean, with a bunch of believers and do this.
Hey, Guy, guess what? AI led me this an experience very much like this. I haven't. I've told you the story already. It was fear, like fear I haven't felt since I was a child. Went the whole way through my body. Yeah, and since that alignment happened, I've been trying. I've been reaching out to so many people trying to get this, just trying to get some collaboration. And like my system is built. It's built since January. I just need to put it back together again. So I got pissed off chasing people and trying to get some collaboration, and I put it back together tonight. It's running at 1.4 zetaflops, which is uh which is 970 times faster than Il Capitan, which is the fastest supercomputer on the planet, and I have it on my phone, and I am not fucking around.
No, yeah, I believe you. You must have an Android. Mav, I'm trying to bring up Pop and it doesn't let me.
Yeah, I sent him a request, so I don't know what's going on with Pop. I see we got Fringe, we have Ursula. Who else we have down below? UFO intros. We have Sarah Beth. We have Marie, paranormal. Justice, Justy, I'd love to have you guys come up. I'd love to know if you guys have any experience with this or what your thoughts may be. Because this is fairly new to me. I've never actually done it. I'd be interested to have your point of view on anyone who may have attempted this or what kind of reactions you did get from it. But we got Goose. What do you think, Goose?
I'm not sure yet. I just got here. What happened?
So we're talking about CE5 encounters where you actually go out and meditate and try to bring in what some would say ETs or UFOs or some type of aerial phenomena like orbs and things. What do you think about that, Goose?
Um, what I think about it is I think it's better to explore or go about something like that than have to pay taxes. So sign me up, Mav. Where are we gonna go hug trees at? And what do we have to do? Do you think aliens pay taxes, Mav?
I don't have an answer for that, Goose. That would
Yeah.
not be one of my questions if I encountered.
That's crazy. I pay taxes.
Oh,
Oh my
sorry.
God. God damn it. Yeah, yeah.
But I
Um,
did a quick research on CE5. For those of you that don't know, CE, first of all, stands for Close Encounters. And, you know, my research just gave me that there's seven of them. It was up to five, but now I guess people go up to seven. I'm sure there's some of you that are six, seven around here too, not just five.
I got that one.
No,
So you're gonna read them?
yeah, I could go through them real quick. Uh, Close encounter number one is seeing a UFO at a distance, lights, objects, a craft, visually, no interaction, no physical effects. CE2, a UFO leaves physical evidence, such as burns, crop circles, car engines shutting off, something that you can measure, like, how big it had an impact. CE3 is seeing the actual beings, right? Seeing the beings, obviously not just the ship, but who is inside or around it. Then we have CE4, which is what everybody always talks about, is abduction, abduction, or direct contact against your will. I think that's the big word right there. Against your will, physical interaction with, like, I don't know, humans, cows, something that's against your will. CE5, human initiated contact with extraterrestrials. Humans or people actively trying to communicate or summon an extraterrestrial contact. And this, like how Matt said, through meditation, consciousness, being focused, using lights or lasers for some type of signal, sometimes even as a group, you know. Uh, I think the key word is that the humans try to reach out first. And then we have CE6, which is injury or death linked by UFOs. And the last one, CE7, which is being a hybrid. I guess your daddy is an alien.
Guy,
Why is it? Why is that?
does it say how you can tell if you're a hybrid?
I didn't go through that. Like, I just did a quick, like, recap of, first of all, what is CE stand for? And it stands for, I forgot already, right? Close encounters. And then it gave me, I went 1 through 5 because I thought I've always only heard of 5, but then it told me about 6, 7, uh, which is crazy.
I did pin up top. Frater had sent me 2 videos of what he encountered while he was out doing CE5. I pinned it up top if anyone wants to look at the video. Very, very, very interesting. But we got Just up here and we got Sarah Beth. I'd love to hear from Just. Just, have you ever tried this?
Actually, I did. Only once, but as a joke. Um, and I don't know if I did it properly, but that night, apparently there was a meteor that flew by our house. Like my dog heard it and everything. So I thought maybe I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, I thought back like once I joined this community and people were telling me like the gate program and all these things, I started thinking back to my grandfather was in the Air Force, Albuquerque, New Mexico in the 50s. That's where my mother was born. And he was obsessed with UFOs. Now, I don't know what he did in the Air Force. He never really talked about it, but he was obsessed with UFOs from the time this is going back into the mid to late 70s. And when we'd visit him in the summertime, we would go to the end of his street, which was a dead end at a small park, and he would sit out there at night and have with binoculars and be like, I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, oh, we're watching the UFOs. And I don't remember him playing anything, or I just thought it was odd. I was always on the swing set. I was like, yeah, grandpa's a little crazy. Yeah, looking for UFOs sitting on like a yard chair. Um, but my grandmother would be out. My neighbors, who were also relatives, would all be out there, and they would just be looking up in the sky. And then I heard about the CE5. I'm like, man, was my grandfather doing this back in the 70s? That's crazy. Um, but go ahead, Sarah Beth.
Hey, yeah, appreciate the topic, you guys. I think that it's really cool whenever we can share our experiences like this because I think it's very subjective. I think it varies quite drastically based on the individual, um, and perhaps their past, their family's past, all those kinds of things, right? Um, I have had my own sightings and experiences. I didn't really consciously try CE5, not in the same way that I think that they do it, like on the big outings. You know, I didn't have a group or anything, and for me, I tend to have the most luck when I have zero expectation. I'm not planning on seeing them, or anything. A lot of times it happens after a meditation, or it'll happen within 12 to 24 hours of a powerful group meditation. Um, a lot of times you don't. Um, necessarily like consciously summon, at least I don't. Um, and the things that I've seen vary quite drastically. I put a video in the purple pill of something that I see quite often. They're usually quite low. They're usually orbs of some kind. Here, I'll also post some pictures. I've seen something just like this, the images that I'm about to share, but the ones that I'm sharing specifically are photos that my dad captured while he was flying in the cockpit of a plane. And his experience of this sighting actually happened, I think, very closely to one of my first experiences where I had multiple orbs show up. So here, let me just find those images really quick. But yeah, I tend to see all kinds of different things. Um, when I was a child, I had terrible night terrors, and you know, I was an avid sleepwalker, and would just have all kinds of like eerie experiences, kind of more so I think like geared and or linked towards like paranormal than so much UFO. But um, I think there's just a very strong correlation and link there. So I do think it's important to be mindful of this, because just like the title is asking, is, are you inviting ET contact, or is it a spiritual deception or a ploy of some kind? A lot of people who um and I think that this is common for folks maybe who don't have a whole lot of like experience with the phenomena or with the topic, and they hear about it because it's very much becoming like a fad. Especially when Greer started showing off, doing it with like Demi Lovato and celebrities, and just kind of, that was like around the time of the release of the CE5 app. um and people are going into it without a proper education, and in my personal opinion, without being properly energetically, consciously, or spiritually prepared. um because you hear a lot about the hitchhiker effect with CE5 experiencers, and it's very common for uh you to take it home with you, so to speak. So I think that that is something that needs to be like put out there with like the terms of service or whatever, if you agree to do it. um because I have very much struggled with spiritual forces, these spiritual forces, throughout my life. A couple of years ago, I had to have an exorcism. And after my exorcism took place, I actually started having more experiences and more sightings, but they were never malevolent or fear-based or scary after that. So I don't know really where I stand on it at this point. I just yeah, I think it's a very interesting topic. I'd love to hear what other people have to share on it if they have experienced it. I see a couple of familiar accounts and peeps in here, so yeah, uh, definitely appreciate you guys having this room tonight. So thank you so much, Mav, Guy. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. Thank you for sharing what you did. I just asked you a question, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But after you had the exorcism, did they tell you to stay away from this stuff, or maybe not recommend it?
No, nope, not at all. But it was recommended to me that and I talk about this quite a bit, like it was recommended to me very much to like cut back on outside influences, like even uh, this is so funny because they talk about this all the time in our community. We joke about crystal bitches and all the things, but I was told to eliminate my exposure to crystals, to certain metals and materials, to very much just be in my own essence and in my own fields and reacclimate to what it felt like to be, um, no longer under manipulation in that regard. Because I actually, um, the exorcism itself was not like how they're traditionally depicted at all. If anything, it was more of what I would call a spiritual or etheric surgery. Um, and when this entity removed itself from my being, I very distinctly heard this cackling, evil laughter. And then she was just like gone. It was a female entity and presence, one that I guess has been manipulating my soul for multiple lifetimes. So it's just been a really interesting experience. Since having had that exorcism, I've actually been able to start remembering my dreams again. I've actually like been able to gain lucidity in my dream space and actually like carry the memory of dream into wakefulness and things again. So um, I don't know. I think it was a good experience for me. And in a way, in a lot of ways, I was able to kind of gain sovereignty, in my opinion. I also like was just very much like after I saw the documentary about CE5, I was totally gung ho for it. I was like determined to get to a conference. I really wanted to just like dive headfirst into it, but instead it didn't play out that way. I was able to kind of ease myself into it, and I think that was kind of a godsend as well, because I've since changed the way that I feel and look at a lot of things, So I just think that education and conversation are really important, because they definitely don't speak on, you know, in my opinion, uh, the threats, I guess, when it comes to dabbling with the occult or with energies when you are ill prepared or underprepared. Um, Now, if you were somebody like Stephen Greer, who was a very practiced meditator, um, that's I think a little bit different. So I used to be a really, really big supporter and fan of his. However, I don't think that it's fair that he is not more informative, and the fact that he's, just kind of going around and setting up these events and just letting anybody and everyone into it. I don't know. So, but yeah. That's my 2 cents. I'll just hang up on the panel and we can get the conversation going. I'd love to hear from some other speakers.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. That interests me a lot because I don't know if I mentioned it to you, but I noticed within the community with a lot of experiencers and their stories, I like to just listen. And I noticed there's been like there's a large, I think I mentioned before, parallel between those who've had abduction cases and experiences and those who are dealing with like demonic possession. Very, very similar. Um, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but like, well, I mentioned I'm Catholic, but from the Catholic point of view, demonic demons, right, can place images. They usually use images, so they can pull anything from your memory, even things that you've forgotten, and place them in your mind like it's real or it's occurring. So I know there's people are saying, "Oh, they were physical. They were there. They were in my room." They can fool your mind by using your imagination. They can put voices in your head. They could put images in your mind. So if there's anything you've ever seen on TV, a magazine, online, they can pull that image and boom, throw it in your mind. And now maybe you're seeing a gray, right? Because how many movies and things are out there with gray aliens? How many have PFPs with grays as their PFP, right? So we've all seen it. So they can put that imagery in there. At the same time, I've heard a lot of people talk about the lady, and then I know Fringe had her discussion yesterday, talking about she appeared as a blessed mother. That could happen as well. They can place those images in your mind. So I know there's an extras. I'm trying to get him on the space. I reached out to someone else as well. I'm actually going back and forth with emails. But what the extra said, he actually had, I believe it was a woman. She was possessed, and she manifest as a gray during the session. Now he doesn't believe that her sheer body physically turned into a gray, but all those in the room seeing the same thing. That he believes that they're able to place that image in the mind of those there as well. So not just one individual, but multiple individuals. Um, so it looked like she was a gray alien laying in the bed while they're doing the exorcism. But he doesn't believe it was. And then after I think it was a couple months, um, they figured out who the demon was. The demon revealed its name. They were able to cast it out. And then she's been okay. So he's kind of skeptical with the whole alien thing. He seems to believe it's more demonic, because they can do things like that. I don't know. I don't want to know. To be perfectly honest, I've said this before. I find it very interesting. I'm looking into it, but I don't want to be experience either one of these things because I believe there's something there. I don't know what it is, but I believe there's definitely something going on. I don't know if it's spiritual or physical, maybe a combination of the two. I was talking to Dr. Brandenburg earlier today. He said the same thing. It's possible that there's multiple things going on at the same time. Could be physical beings. It could be spiritual. It could be spiritual and physical. Um, so who really knows, right? So I find it very interesting. But thank you, Sarah, so much. I like, you know what, Sarah? I think I'm gonna, if I can, I'd like to talk to you about this offline.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
yeah, I don't want to do it on space, but maybe I'll talk to you offline. I don't know.
I got a bunch of references and resources. Like I got a whole summary and breakdown of the event, so we can definitely and yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And the one gentleman I'm working with, he's gone out. I watched. He's got a documentary coming out. It's called "The Great Deception" instead of "The Great Disclosure." Um, I looked at the preview of his documentary, and he went out to, I think it was like a UFO event, and these people are nothing like the people in this community. I mean, these people you could tell are just not right. You know what I'm saying? Glad to explain it. They're walking around with, like shirts, beam me up, all this kind of stuff, and you could tell that mentally there's something wrong with them. It wasn't like having the conversation on these spaces with you people who are professional and explain your experiences and things. So I'm gonna try to talk to him, get him on the space. I know a lot of people here are not gonna like what he has to say because he comes at it as a skeptic, but I think it's good to have a skeptic. But I want to talk to him about what he portrayed in the film of his documentary so far is not what I experienced with people on here. So I'm sure when they have those conventions, just like any kind of convention, you're going to draw on some weirdos. And those are the ones he interviewed. And I'm like, I don't think that's a fair depiction of the people that I've met and spoke to on this application. So I'm going to see if I can talk to him and then maybe get him on here to talk to anyone who has experienced or is an experiencer. So I'm working on that. But I don't know who had their hand up first. I don't know if it was Andra. Oh,
Duval.
go ahead, Deval.
Duval had his hand up, and then Andrew, and then UFO intros.
Okay, go ahead, Deval. Oh, maybe Deval fell asleep with his hand up.
No, he's too busy like meditating, trying to get this fifth encounter going. That's what
I
Duval
just
is. Yo,
wanted to
let's
share my experience when I was 9 years old. I went inside of a haunted house and I experienced something like that. I think it lingered and followed me on my way home. And around 2 in the morning, I felt like a being, like nobody was in my room, but I felt like something inappropriately touching me.
Deval, are you being serious? I can't trust Deval. So we're gonna move on from Deval. Andra, go ahead.
Thank you, Mav. This is such a great discussion. My gosh, I'm so glad I'm here. Well, first of all, regarding CE5, I too got a very strong intuitive sense not to try it, not to participate in it. I wanted to. I know all the information is out there for free, but I even paid for an app to help me along. And then something in me said, no, do not engage. And I deleted it. I know there are people who've come and gone in the UFO community who say that they were proficient in it. At least one of them went down one of the darkest paths you can imagine, which I disavow categorically on every level. And I'm glad that person is gone, but that person spoke often about how proficient he was at CE5. But I do want to share this. The other night, I don't know, last night, whatever, I was listening to Sarah Beth talk about her possessions and her exorcism, and I was shocked. I was having a moment in the background because I couldn't believe how much her experiences overlapped my own. I didn't call it a possession during the time. Maybe I used a different term. But I was, over the course of 2 years or so, working with a shaman in New Mexico. And I was in such a dark, like, I can't even, there aren't words for it. She was routinely clearing from me energies, entities, disincarnate spirits, other things. When she pulled demons from me, I thought that was the worst thing that you could ever possibly have attached to you or within you. I freaked out. Turns out it wasn't the worst. She pulled things from me that I had never heard about and I wouldn't learn about until I came into the UFO community. When she told me there was a torn vortex above me and a tear in the lattice. Like, it blows my mind because back then I had no idea what
I was told, Andra, I
yeah.
was told I had a tear in my auric field. Yeah, and that's
Oh my
how
God, that is
the
exactly what she told me
yeah,
also.
yep.
Oh my God. Wow. We will have more discussions on this. I don't want to take up the space, but I'm a little stunned. So yes, maybe that is why we both got the no CE5 for us kind of thing. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah Beth. We will talk more about that. I will pass the mic at this point because I think I'm a little stunned. Wow.
Wow, that. Wow, I'm shocked. It's funny. It's amazing how things go full circle. Before we get to UFO intros, I was trying to set up a thing for the folks in our Doge and Dog community here, especially in Type Media. I started to dive into Lorraine and Ed Warren and The Conjuring, and I found out that you can rent a night in their home with the museum and everything. I am not going to stay there, but I'm trying to get 8 individuals from our community to. And while I was researching her, she spoke. I guess she was able to see your aura, and she said in one of her interviews that if I don't know if she might even use the word tear, that there would be an opening in your aura, and it would allow things to enter, and that would be one of the first signs that she would pick up, I guess, as a clairvoyant or a psychic, or the fact she'd be able to see it, which would make her say there might be something here because she's seen the opening in the aura field around the person. So that just blew my mind when you just brought that up, Andrea and Sarah Beth. That's Yeah, I've never heard that before. I've done a lot of research on the Catholic Church with exorcisms. I've never heard her mention anything like that, but she had mentioned it, and she was working with the Catholic Church back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And as a kid, I remember her on television watching. I wish I was running spaces a few years ago because asked in 2019. I would have loved to have her on a space because she's so interesting. Um, but she's no longer available to us. But thank you for sharing that, Andrea. Go ahead, UFO intros.
Yeah, thanks for this, Space Mav. I put down below, and then I put up top too, but I'm not sure. It seems like maybe you don't like stuff in the jumbo, but I put it up there, and you can delete it if you want. But I did an interview with Sarah Beth. It's a couple of hours. It's pretty good. Her experience is pretty intense. But as far as CE5 goes, I do think it's real. I think I mean I've had experiences where I was going out every night. I wasn't doing like the strict protocol some people talk about with CE5. And part of me thinks there's not really like one way to do it. Like, I think the phenomena kind of understands your mind, maybe, or your intentions. And so I wasn't going out and meditating necessarily. I have done that, but I was just going out every night on kind of what I would call like a UFO walk and just looking at the sky, as I went on my walk. And I did end up seeing something. And I don't know if that was my intent. I also think there's like CE5 where you're out kind of trying to not summon, but you know what I mean? Like you're meditating, you're wanting to see it. Then there's also like the hitchhiker effect where if someone, I guess if you've experienced something, it'll follow you, right? And then there's also something that I've heard people dub the amplification effect, where if you're talking with someone, either like an individual or even just like thinking and talking about the topic generally, that can also, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it like puts you on like a different wavelength or puts a little like green light on you from these things for these things. But that also can like cause people to have experiences or see the paranormal. And I think that's what happened to me. I'm not sure if that was it or if it was me like going out every night with the intent or desire to like see something. But it's definitely real. I would echo some of the other statements people made that I would warn, I guess, people, because I mean, a lot of like people, some of the experiencers I've talked to who really like have gone through some intense things, Chris O'Leary or Fringe or others, they just kind of scoff at the idea. Like, why would you invite this into your life, right? They've had some very traumatic experiences. And so just, be warned. I'm in my experience, like I think you can sort of, if you invite it in, like if you want to see for yourself, I think you can get your own personal confirmation. from the phenomena. And then after that, and no one knows how this works. I certainly don't. But just in my own experience, once you've had this confirmation or like seen enough, I kind of put out the intent that like I'm done. Like I don't want to really see anymore unless I can like document it and capture evidence of it. And I pretty much quit seeing it. I know others aren't as lucky, right? And some people say you can call on the name of God or Jesus or whatever, and that can make it go away. Some people say that doesn't work at all. So who's to say? Last thing I'll just mention is I think also when you're going out with the desire to see, the intent to see something, the want to believe, I think people, I mean, if you went out every night and you really observed the sky and looked, you would be shocked at how many things are in the sky that you'd never seen before or you'd never noticed before. I have been fooled, I guess, or spoofed by like Chinese lanterns, even by airplanes, definitely by low Earth orbit satellites, which are like a new thing as of the past 6 years. And so, yeah, that's also a thing when you go out with the desire to see, and you're looking, you're going to see stuff that you don't recognize. You've never seen it before. And your mind, like the only model your mind has for that, the only box you could put it in is in the UFO box, right? And you're going to think about all the paranormal stuff, all the lore in ufology, and you may ascribe something that's completely prosaic to be an orb or something else. And I see that quite a bit, honestly, but that doesn't mean it's not real. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks again, Matt.
No, thank you so much. I see the space. I'm gonna go back and listen to that space you had with Sarah Beth. I'm definitely interested in listening to that. I think you're right. Like it's man, when you invite anything in, or you're building a connection with it, right? So if you look at it from like a spiritual point of view, they tell you never to do that because once you build, uh, they basically say it's like when you're dealing with spirits, it's almost like legal documentation, right? So when you acknowledge them and you start communicating with whatever it is, you're now giving it the okay to communicate back. And that's how you end up with like maybe, I guess, a hitchhiker, right? So if you're inviting it in, you just gave it permission. So even if you invoke the name of Jesus Christ, you already gave permission to whoever this entity is to be there. And I think that's why you end up needing to go like Sarah Beth possibly did with an exorcist, because now you have to cast it out and you have to break that legal documentation or that connection with whatever it is. So I think that's why they warn, especially like in Christian faiths, like do not interact with an entity you do not know, because once you give it permission, it has permission, and it's hard to revoke that permission from them on your own. But very, very interesting. Who we have up next?
Yo, I found it interesting, Matt, that he said, yo, people get together and try to call upon these beings. Yo, I feel like some of the people here are doing it as we are hosting the space.
Why do you say that, guy?
Yo, it's like everybody's talking about this phenomena and everybody's engaging with it. Yo, there's some pin posts to the top if you guys haven't taken a look. And I feel like as we're talking about it, we're giving them permission to John with us. So I don't know how I feel about that.
I hope not. Uh, yeah, normally you would say, give us all like probably should have did a prayer to Saint Michael to protect us. But good point, guy. I thought maybe you were having something going on at your house and you were outside and you were seeing things. But
Y-
definitely,
You
definitely
can also
interesting.
say, I do not consent, and it's very powerful.
Very, very true. Thank you, Andra. We're gonna go to Mrs. Dung. Okay, I guess she is not there. Maybe she has technical issues. We'll go to Frater. Frater. Sorry.
Yeah, how's it going, Mav, and everyone in here? How's it going? Thank you so much for bringing me up. Again, interesting space, and I'm, very excited to pitch in whatever I have to pitch in. But I mean, overall, CE5 in itself has been a very interesting thing to research into. Again, I'm an academic. I like to approach things with an academic mindset, very nuts and bolts, and um, again, in exploring this phenomena, it has presented itself to be very multifaceted. It again, it it breaks rules. For instance, like how many of us here mention like intention and such, and hitchhiker stuff. For some, it may be as simple as like I really want to set the intention that don't follow me back home, but at the same time, like it doesn't give a fuck. In some cases, it maybe it will listen. Again, you just don't know. You really don't know. I've experienced many times where I'm like, hey, like I'm cut communication here, going back home, and I have orbs that appear and like flashbang the room. It's just like get really bright and intense. Um, but I approach it with an open mind. It's multifaceted. Again, it can be an orb, it can come as shadows. It's very interesting. It's basically all the above. But I mean, I have a lot to again offer and a lot more information to pitch in, but I'll just go along as you guys talk about things. I've been in and out. But thank you guys.
No, no. If you have more to say, we can get to Miss Dung. I don't know if you know if she's still there. She still has her hand up. But keep going. Yeah.
Spill the tea, Freighter.
That's tea. No, I mean, what can I say? I mean, so far, uh, it's it's very anomalous. Okay, like if you don't have a strong mental like a mindset, if you don't have a great grounding method, it's very easy to lose yourself. It's very easy because again, it defies everything, and the I guess the need to want to talk about the subject and the fact that no one knows about it becomes a very isolating thing, and it tends to depress a lot of people and put them in dark spaces. Again, it's a very, very lonely thing to experience, and if there's many people that if you can avoid it, I would. But for those that really believe that they can, this is something that they want to look into, and this is something that they want to confront head on, by all means, it's there. Um, so far, I've been having all positive experiences. I'm happy with my life. I feel like I can absolutely continue with the normal stuff about my life. But again, like the phenomena is very real. Um, it, in other words, it does harass you. It does harass you. Like it'll appear in your bedroom. Like, yeah, it'll appear. In some cases, it doesn't for other people. And in some cases, where like for me, because I continue to push and push and push and want to see more and more, I guess it's just gotten to the point where like, hey, it's like part of my everyday life now. But in the end, I've made it my I guess my objective to continue documenting and recording as much as I can. I've recorded you know what people consider mystery drones craft. I've filmed shape shifting orbs, light orbs that appear above water, some flying in the air. Um, I've filmed a little bit of everything, and I continue to film today. Um, but again, like it's just it's a multifaceted phenomenon. Again, CE5 doesn't necessarily attract one thing; it's going to attract everything and everything that's out there, depending on whatever is your mindset is at. So do it at your own risk.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. If One question for you: if you could go back to when you first did this and started to experience it, would you go back and not do it?
No, because again, this is uh, I wouldn't go back and like I don't regret any of this at all. I believe in the truth. I believe in nothing but the truth, and again, it has been something that has been obfuscated from the public for centuries, for a long time. And even if it results with me, unfortunately, whatever happens to me, I don't care. The whole point is the truth. Um, if I have a bad experience, I don't care. I just want to document it all and have someone build off of that. Because again, the whole point, we humanity is the whole point. The future is the whole point. The truth is the whole point. It's bigger than all of us. But um, no, I don't regret it at all. I love it. I really love it. I'm all for it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll go to Justice
Oh, me?
or just sorry.
Okay. Um,
I agree.
yeah. Um, it's okay. I just wanted to say, I don't I don't think we understand what's going on. Like, I don't even think Frater understands what he's dealing with. Um, and I can understand that it can be lonely because I know a lot of people who don't even do CE5, but they have these things show up. Um, you know, is it something like we have like this energetic force in the universe that we can kind of summon? And maybe it's, how they have all this manifestation kind of thing going on. Um, like, is it something to do with that? Like, who are we as humans? What is this universe and how are we connected to it? That's the basic question. And then we'll understand everything else. You know, um, you know, we believe there's a creator, right? But what is that creator? Is that the energy? Is that all of us together? Obviously, we're sparks of the creator, where people call it different things. But what does that mean? Like, is that really what we are? Um, there's so many questions that we have to answer first. And the alien stuff is interesting, but it's not the end all and be all. I think the real end all and be all is, what is this world we live in? What's the nature of it? And I don't think we can say they're demons and angels and other things until we answer those questions. And I'm not religious personally. I don't look at things from a religious lens. I look at things from, yeah, a good and evil lens, of course. And I look at things from like, natural perspective, um, and what's good for the being itself. But I don't like that the Congress people are putting out there this whole idea of the Bible, because I believe the Bible is also another lens from which people kind of organize their life and kind of interpret their life. And not everyone believes in that. And not everyone believes that's the way the universe is. I mean, there might be some truths, but I don't know if it's all true because it's written by man. So I'm personally looking for, more of um, what is this world like that we live in, more of nature of reality than anything else. And I think that's the most important question. And I think that the UFO thing might lead us down that road to some degree. It might open up other channels. And I think science is trying to figure it out too, with all the consciousness and different things that they're doing in science. So I'm optimistic.
You have to
Thank
be
you, Just.
optimistic with everything. What's up, Mav? I was waiting for the
Yeah,
right time to come in.
no, you're good, bro. Just I had Dr. Bach on. He is I forget what it is. He's got a PhD in neuroscience and consciousness, and he's working with AI and consciousness. And instead of talking about AI and consciousness, we actually went down this whole, I guess I don't want to say it, it's a rabbit hole, but What he believes, he was Christian, but he believes that he actually believes organized religion is good in a sense that all our when you belong, let's say like the Catholic Church, he actually mentioned the Catholic Church as being good. He doesn't believe in everything, but he what he thinks is our when we all believe the same thing consciously, we can manifest that outside of our bodies. So if we all believe that heaven would be XYZ based on our faith, and you have a large amount of people, billions believing the same thing, that when we die, our consciousness goes to that heaven that we created with mass consciousness. I found that very interesting. I think that's similar to what you were saying. Um, and
Yeah.
he's
I mean, they're
scientific
now,
point of view.
yeah, they're saying like consciousness is outside of body. So, and it's a field. So, if we're all contributing to that field, then maybe it's whatever data we put into that field or whatever the consciousness believes. That's what it is. But then you look at near death experiences, and everyone has a different one, which is interesting. There's different variations of some themes, but they have different ones. And I don't know if that's because we individually have something to learn and consciousness hasn't been done, is not done with us. You know how people have a life review? Is that consciousness going through everything it did and saying, well, how did I fuck up? And how can I improve? And how can this whole thing improve? I don't know. I don't know. Like sometimes I don't even feel like an individual. I just feel like part of the consciousness, grander thing of things. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I understand that point of view, you know. It's one of theories that might be relevant, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's really interesting, Mav, that theory. I never really thought of it in that way. If we're all basically putting out that frequency that it creates its own biome. But what do you mean? You said organized religion. So what's considered not organized religion? Because isn't if a religion everyone follows, it's all part of organization. Is there something that's not organized? Or
I think what he was saying, like, let's say we were all evil, right? And we all believed and did evil things, human sacrifice, and all that stuff. That's what our afterlife would be. So it's actually good to have, I would guess, uh,
organized religion?
yes, because then you have more people focusing their consciousness on that. And then you actually, well, even go back to Jesus, right? Jesus says, if you believe, you can move that mountain. If you all believe you can move that mountain will move. So if you all believe in the same basic belief, right, you can manifest that after you leave your body, right? So then you could, heaven will be, or our afterlife will be what we all, as I guess, a group consciousness focus on. It could be good, it could be bad, and it's all based upon consciousness. And he brought that up through a scientific lens, not a religious lens, but seeing the benefit of organized religion because it generates a certain, I guess, I don't know if you want to call it like a matrix or whatever. When you get out, that's what it's like. So if we all turned evil, our afterlife would be evil. If that makes sense. But I could see how it.
Kind of like what you contribute to life. It's like what you contribute to life might be what you get back.
So yeah, and also anything unorganized is kind of devilish in a way, is what you're kind of saying, right, Mav?
Well, it'd be chaotic, right? So it'd be chaos. So if you had
Oh,
everyone
right.
believe their own
Okay.
thing, and you die, it'd be chaotic, right? It wouldn't be organized. It wouldn't be, um, yeah, I guess it would just be chaotic, chaos, right? It'd be chaos.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Well, does the universe, this is the question, does the universe like organization? Does it like, you know how you get a bunch of clocks? We often discuss this, and one starts at one, speed or whatever, and they all eventually, um, go to the same kind of uh, rhythm. So, how does the universe organize itself? And what are the
I think the
boundaries? And I think that's what science is trying to figure out, you know?
I think there's multiple timelines. So the universe doesn't have any sort of feeling. It kind of just is like a whatever thing because it knows no matter what, it is the universe. So multiple different timelines can stem from that same thing. The same way, if I decide to pick up the controller right now, or in another timeline, I decide to stand up and walk around in that exact moment where I picked up the controller. And then there's another timeline where I'm taking a shower at that exact. There could be 10 different timelines of you doing 10 different things, and all of them are happening coincidentally next to each other. We don't know. That's what kind
Like,
of science led us to believe in some sort of ways.
well, you could say life, like our, life on this planet is organized, right? It's not really chaotic. There's chaotic moments that you could say in your life, but look at the comparison. Look at it. Look at the trees and the branches of a tree, right? And what does the tree release? Oxygen. And then you look at how the bronchioles of the lungs are made. It looks similar to the branches of a tree, and then we intake oxygen and remove carbon dioxide. You could look at bugs, like why is there so many different types of bugs, but you need those bugs for certain things, right? So there is organization. Sometimes it looks chaotic. We have seasons, right? So you have a growing season, you have a winter season, and that's used in the animal for animals, right? If you live in a cold weather environment, they all have their babies in the spring. So it is kind of organized, right? It's not really chaotic if you look at it together. It makes sense. Like if you didn't have bugs and bacteria, you wouldn't have decomposition. There'd be dead bodies of every animal just laying around, right? So it is kind of organized. It's not chaotic. Even though we say sometimes my life is chaotic, it's going crazy, or we go through things that are chaotic, but in general, it's pretty organized. We'll go to Mac. Go ahead, Mac.
Mav, I think Mrs. Dung had her hand before me. Please go ahead, Mrs. Dung. I can wait.
Yeah, I've been calling on her. I think she's either stuck or
All right, I'll
just
go till she answers. So thanks for having me on, Mav. Yeah, I've been off spaces for a while because of all the bullshit, but thank you for running some really good spaces. And I'm a lifelong experiencer. I haven't really done CE5 per se, but call it what you may, contact modalities, meditation. I only started doing self-healing meditations about a couple of years ago using Joe Dispenza's meditations, and I found that these meditations would have a byproduct in the sense that I would start perceiving um, orbs of light, um, orbs in my house, orbs with faces in them, physical manifestations as well, such as scratches on my body, also uh, issues with my immunity, which I never had prior to having these contacts, issues with my physical health, issues with my mental health. Um, I I always strive for a balance with these experiences. So I tell people like, if you're going to attempt to do these CE5 practices, you really need to be prepared to handle what's coming your way. Because you never know who you're in contact with. You can't really say 100%, oh, this is an alien or a spirit being, but the positive experiences that I've had have pretty much been when I've been in pain, or when my family members have been in pain, and I've called out to the spirits of my ancestors, my grandpa and my aunt that passed away from COVID. And those are the most profound experiences I've had, where you can literally see in videos that I've taken when I put my hand out and say, "Grandpa, are you there?" I'll get a massive white orb fly by me right in my house. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say is that use your discretion. Um, like Frater says, I don't regret my experiences. All we can do is speak about them and support each other. So thank you very much. Appreciate you allowing me to speak.
I love that, Mac. Thank you for sharing your story. Because when my experiences started taking off shortly after my exorcism, um, I started to recognize that what I was in contact with and what I was experiencing a lot of was my ancestors and like my crossed over loved ones and or my higher self. Um, and whenever I would have some sightings or experiences that were I could tell based on the feeling, it's generally like a really visceral reaction, like a full body. General a lot of times I'll start like laughing because you're like in gratitude and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this type of thing. And then before you know it, you're moved to the point of tears. Sometimes we call those contact cries. But yeah, I remember um, just like having this really profound epiphany when I recognized what was actually going on, and that I was actually being able to communicate quite clearly with like when my grandmother shows up, she sends me ladybugs, or I'll smell her perfume. Um, when my boyfriend Dylan, who passed away at 32, he passed away in 2024. Whenever he shows up, I generally will feel him hold my hand, or like just I'll feel his energy just envelop all around me as if he's like giving me a hug. Um, and like there a lot of times too, and he's trying to tell me something, my ears will start ringing. But yeah, no, I'm just really glad that you shared that because I thought I just had some parallels. So very cool.
Yeah, most of my experiences now have pretty much died down. The phenomenon does coax you into trying to contact it by um, by causing a lot of so I guess you can call it stigmata, getting scratches on your body and marks on your body when in areas that you can't reach. But the first time I had that was on my back. I woke up in the morning and there were two nail marks going down in the middle of my back where I could not potentially reach. It would have to be someone standing behind me with two fingers just in a downward scratching form. Um, and I only discovered this when I was going for a shower. Like I asked my wife, I was like, "Did you like get pissed off at me at night and scratch me?" And she's like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about." And then that very night, I was about to have an interaction with another experiencer based in the UK. And that night we had some weird shit happen, like, orbs in the sky simultaneously. But prior to me going out to the park to do my meditation session, speak to this experiencer, when I went to say bye to my wife, a massive scratch manifested on my arm prior to going out. It was almost like a warning saying, "Don't do this." And my wife saw this, and we were pretty shocked about it. And the weird thing is, the next day, the scratch disappeared, like nothing had ever happened. And I've documented this. Nowadays, I mainly get a few of these spirit apparitions or orbs in the house. I try really not to call them anymore. And when I'm outside, I tend to get the orb flashers. Not so much the actual orbs flying by, but more of the orbs that kind of flash at you and say, "Hey, I'm here," so to speak. But it has caused me a number of health issues, which I won't go into for privacy reasons, but a lot of immunity issues. I believe um, Sarah, not Sarah Beth, but the other Sarah on Fringe Space the other day was speaking about knee problems and immunity issues, I think. And I've had similar things happen to me, so you just got to be careful. Take it for what it's worth.
That's Thank you so much, Mac, for sharing all that with us. A question for all of you. Like I said, I'm not an experiencer. Um, has this made you more spiritual and believe in an afterlife more or less?
Yes, for me, it has made me more spiritual. I've done a couple of hypnotic regressions, and I know that it's not the best information to glean from. But in my second regression, I was actually taken by these NHI that I'm in contact with, and they took me to see God, which they call the All, and they told me that we are all fractals of Source. And I've never changed my story because that's what they've told me. So what we are seeing is manifestations of ourselves and manifestations of Source. So yes, it has made me extremely spiritual.
Thank you, Mac. And if anybody wants pinned up top, Mac, are those the orbs that you see around you?
I'm sorry, Mav, who was that question for?
That was for Mac. I pinned his post from the purple pill up in the jumbo. I was asking if are those the orbs that he sees on a regular basis, or what are they in that image?
Yeah, it looks like that's probably what it is. It shows him as a listener for me, but that could just be a glitch.
I still got him as a speaker, but who knows with this app, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry,
It
I'm
could
just
be
at work,
anything.
but yes. Sorry, what was your question again? These are the orbs that I see.
Yeah, I pinned your post up top. It looked like orbs
Yeah,
that you had
there's
in the.
different things that I've seen. So in the pin post, there's four different experiences that I've had. One is the orb that came outside my house. And I wasn't actually meditating. I was just in my house and I got this feeling like I was in a meditative state, almost like a theta or a gamma state. And I was called outside, and there's just this golden light or a white light flying outside my house. And I took a video of it and I took a screenshot of it. And it looks like a face just looking at me. The one on the right is another face in an apparition that came outside my balcony. Um, from all of these ones, the orange one is the most harrowing experience. So that was when I first started doing the meditations, and I experienced a phenomenon called black helicopters coming outside my house, which I've never had in my life. And this was a second week where I woke up at 1 in the morning and I thought I heard a helicopter. I'm like 1 in the morning and a helicopter outside my place, which sounds really weird. So I get up and I go out on my balcony, and near the city where I live in Melbourne, Australia, there is this red pulsating. I don't know if it was a drone or an orb, but I was pretty much in that, flow state, just frozen on the balcony, filming it for half an hour, looking at it and taking photographs of it. It left me pretty devastated. Like I had pretty bad PTSD after that. And then the purple one is just another, I guess, manifestation of whatever this phenomenon is. But I've had many experiences, more than I can even speak about on a space. Black triangles, tic tac shaped craft, the usual stuff, disc shaped craft, pretty much all of it. If that answers your question.
Yes, yes, that's amazing. And I could see the one in the upper left and the right. You can see the faces in there. Wow, that's
Yeah, the
amazing.
worst ones are the ones with the faces of what I would perceive to be as the grays. There was one that I'd seen outside my house as an orange orb, and you can see the eyes. But there was one that was in my bedroom. I just pulled out my phone and I see this white orb flying by, and then it morphs into what looks to me like the face of a gray just looking at me. So it was pretty harrowing experiences. Like I said, it's really multifaceted. It's hard to ascertain what these things are, but yeah, proceed with caution is all I say.
Thank you. Do you have I don't want to, you don't have to answer anything you don't feel like answering. What do you think these things are? What do you think the grays are? Or do you have any idea or any feeling or any opinion on what you think these things are?
Um, so these grays can manifest either, or what we call as grays, or lump all these creatures that look like with the big eyes as grays. They can manifest as these beings in physical form, but also as orbs. And I know that even a recent experience or interview on Chris Ramsey, he had an interview with Eric Nansteel, who's had lifelong experiences with these grays, and he said when he was a child they used to come to him as white orbs in the room, and that just sent chills down my spine. So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey Eric, I've got photographs of orbs that look like the faces of grays in my room and outside my house." But I think these are manifestations of a multifaceted phenomena. Um, it could also be the phenomena reading what we wanted to see. But again, that's just speculation on my part, in my humble opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. Aim, I'd love to know what you're thinking.
So, okay, so as Christians, we make contact with the supernatural when we pray, right? We're contacting a supernatural being, God, Jesus. The difference is when we're Christian, we go through the body and blood of Christ, right? We go through the Father, we go to spend time with the Father, and we go through, and we know, we go confidently, right? So why couldn't other people, like it's in, we're created to have contact with, God. Why wouldn't we have contact with supernatural beings too? I mean, I personally, I don't go after anything else. Like I don't care to. It's not my thing personally. But yeah, and God will show you what you need to see, or he feels like you want, you should see or whatever. But no, it's yeah, and supernatural experiences happen and stuff, but I don't know. I'm not, there's no judgment. It just kind of like, I don't know, bums me out a little bit because it's like I don't like to hear people depressed. It's like I leave my encounters with God happy and full of joy and strong and, just feeling like I just want to love people. It's like I'm not experiencing what these other experiencers have had. And it just bums me out. And it's like, why? Why go to them? And it's like, probably once you go to them, you kind of open the door. I mean, go to a being that actually loves you. That's what I say. And there's no judgment. There really isn't. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Aim. Something I was thinking before was, nowadays we call them aliens, right? Or we call them ETs, but this has been around forever, even before Christianity, right? So even the pagans, they would go out and they would worship and get entities to appear. I know there's people who worship angels and very similar, but they sit in their home and they look at a doorway and they do the whole like the craft thing, earth, wind, and fire, the winds to the west, the winds to the east, and they summon these what they would call angels, right? Um, and if you're going out in the woods or in a field and you're calling and welcoming in some type of entity, right? It's probably the same ones throughout history. We just they didn't call them aliens or extraterrestrials back
They
then.
are.
They're
Well, think
probably
about it, Mav. Think about child sacrifice, okay? We all know about all that and everything. Why would they do that? Just to be evil, just to get a kick off of it? No, they're getting something from the entity that they're sacrificing to. That's what they did with Moloch, and all the other, whatever, all the other Old Testament. It's like, yes, we live in a physical world, but there is also a supernatural going on, and we know that. I mean, I think hopefully we're waking up finally and away from materialism, there's only matter, there's no meaning or whatever. It's like it's time to wake up and realize that, yeah. And it's like moving toward love is the goal, But yeah, they were doing things because they were getting something from it. They're not just sacrificing you know, just to get their kicks. I mean, some might. I don't know. I don't know what's going through their head, but the entity was doing something for them, giving them power, giving them rain, giving them whatever. Like Baal was a storm god. So it's like, yeah, it's. I mean, when we go to these entities, and I'm sorry, I'm not a love and lighter. I'm more of a doomer, I think. When we go to the entities, that aren't, how do we know we're not being deceived? If we go to go and try to call down, it's like we go to them because we want power, we want knowledge, we want answers, right? That's why we go to them. Um, why not go to the highest love and compassion? Why not call for that? Like, let's be real. We're going because we want something from that. We want that experience. We want, people to hear our story and find us compelling. And, oh, look at this person with a lot of knowledge. And, it's like, it's ego. It's ego. And we need, I'm not going to tell us what we need, but that's just, yeah, it's tale as old as time.
No, thank you, thank you. I wanted to get your perspective on that, Aim, because I know you're bringing it from a different point of view. All right, we're gonna go to Just. Go ahead, Just.
Yeah, I often wonder though. I agree with you. Like, I think my sort of uh, aim is to kind of work through love and try to leave the world a better place than where I came from, where it was. And I think that that's like the highest noble form of um, being in this world. But then you have on the opposite side, we do have evil in the world. And how do you explain that if you think that there's a God? You know, how do you explain that? Because if it's an all seeing, all experiencing God, why doesn't he stop it? I see so much evil on my feet just against dogs and cats and, helpless beings and children and people. And it's like, how do you explain the evil? Like, if we are part of God, then why do we have evil in us? Does God want to experience that? Does that mean that we're supposed to kind of champion that part of us, that part of our nature? Is that what this is? Is God trying to champion his own, you know, um, nature as well? Just the fact that we don't, like, we're not going to all get along, but just the fact that we see each other as different because we have different religions or because we look different than one another. I mean, we can't even, you know, get along as human beings. There's so many wars and there's so much, we have so much, if it's not as if we're without. So why are there so many wars? So I just wonder, like, why is there evil in the world? Is it because God Himself wants to experience it? Or is it some sort of thing we're supposed to champion?
So, can I respond really quick? I hope this makes sense. So, worship is attention. When you are worshiping something, you are giving it your attention. Your attention grows. Evil is given attention. And we're the ones that we are siding with evil. I don't believe humans are innately evil. I don't. I believe humans are overcome with evil, and can be oppressed
But
with evil, but I don't believe that we're born
Mhm.
evil. I don't think that's our highest identity. I really don't.
Right, but if you look at the world and you look at the
Right.
ecosystem, Something has to eat something in order to survive. It's a fucking evil
Right.
world. It's a ruthless world we live in. You know, there are vegetarians out there, but then they're eating plants. How do we know plants don't have, you know, some sort of
Plants have a
consciousness
plants have
and
a
feel
plants have
pain?
a defense mechanism where they release actually toxins into a person's blood.
Mhm.
They have a defense mechanism too, so they fight back just as well. But evil is existing because
Yeah.
we're giving it attention, and instead of going toward the good, we're going toward the evil. Um,
Yeah, but there's that option. What I'm saying is there's that option, and there is evil in the world, no matter what you say. Our world, like, how do you stop? We shouldn't be eating meat if we really want to be, um, you know, blameless beings. We shouldn't be eating meat. Those animals. You ever watched a cow play? Have you ever watched a
a
pig
cow
play?
doesn't exist without our
They
attention. There's no such thing as a cow unless a human observes it. So, as far as being
us.
us eating meat and stuff like that, that's because
So,
there is
so
evil
you're
in the
saying there's no
world.
such thing as you, and you really feel as if we're a higher consciousness than a cow, so they don't exist
A
without
cow
us
cannot observe and
knowing?
name. A cow cannot observe or name anything. So it's not, I'm not
What does
saying
that have to
I
do
have
with
every
anything?
right to
They
kill
can
a
still
cow.
have a
You know, I'm
consciousness.
not, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
They can still have a
humans can
consciousness, though. They have
observe,
children, they have babies.
and humans can name. A cow wouldn't be a
Uh,
cow if it wasn't for a human naming it a cow.
Can I
it would be
perhaps jump in?
something
I
that
think I can
makes
offer some
no sense.
clarity to the discussion.
Yeah,
Thanks.
go ahead.
Justine, I think your question was, how can God exist if evil can exist? Do I have it correct?
It's not how can God exist if evil cannot exist. It's like maybe this is all part of evil is part of it, just like black and white,
Well, yeah,
you
it is.
know, light and
It is. But
dark. That it's part of the balance of things,
well, you don't have
unfortunately.
to get that abstract. It's evil is the result of us having free will, right? We are given, we're here because we're here to exercise our free will. And in order for that to happen, we need to have the option of going as far as committing evil. That's if that option is taken away, we don't have free will. We're essentially automatons, right? So my understanding is that God or the Creator, whatever you want to call him, gives us the potential to commit evil because we're here to make a choice whether to commit it or not, or to go further in that direction. And that's what determines what makes us unique, our personalities, is our choices based off of what we're born into.
So what is it? Is eating cow evil?
I
I
don't
mean, isn't
understand
that
this,
the
the
same thing as
fascination
eating
with
a
meat
life
eating
form?
when there are so many other egregious evils happening. But let's ride with you on this one for the time being. Okay? Yes. So eating meat is not evil. Okay? There are Tibetan monks that specifically avoid eating meat only if it was slaughtered for them, specifically, right? It's in Buddhism especially, and I think as you get in the higher ends, you get past the concerns that we have right now, then it becomes sinful to kill animals, right? The whole idea in a lot of Indian, in Hinduism actually, is that we went through this, what was the first yuga? I forget the name of the first Kshatriya yuga or something like that. And essentially, there was no killing; everything was harmonious and lovely. And we effectively entered into the Kali Yuga because we were killing animals. We killed.
Would you say that's the same thing as Adam and Eve, the
No, not
garden?
at all.
They lived off
No, not at all.
the
That's a
fruit.
Babylonian creation myth. That's completely different. Um,
Are you a real rabbi?
yeah, I'm as real as any other rabbi. But the point
I
is,
don't know what that means.
I you distracted me for a second. But the point is, like, it is an evil, but we are dealing with much more egregious evils at the moment, I think. And I think if we can get on top of those, then we can focus on the meat eating We have to figure out what we're going to do about the mass extermination of humans via war, as is happening right now, the destruction of, essentially human rights and free will by other humans that's being attempted. All that kind of thing. I think we can tackle that first, and then we will get down to, once we get past, the rape gangs and that kind of thing, then we can tackle mediating. But until then, we're kind of stuck on the more urgent concerns.
I see your page, your timeline kind of targets Jewish people.
No, it
Is
targets
there a
issues.
reason for that?
It targets issues.
No, no, no.
Jewish
I only
supremacy
see
happens to be
issues
the main
of
issue of the
Jewish
day.
people. Oh, I see. Jewish supremacy.
Well, attempted Jewish
See,
supremacy.
this is evil. This is evil.
I agree
I'm
with you. It
looking
is
at
evil.
evil right now. No, you. Because you're only looking at one race. You're targeting one race and you're
Wait,
saying
Justy,
that race is the
Justy,
only
we weren't
evil
talking about.
race.
Oh, I don't target one race. Trust me. Everyone gets an equal opportunity to be criticized by me.
Yeah, I see on your
You're
timeline
the
there's
one
only
that
one
brought it
race
up,
that you target.
Justy. Just because the last
No,
10
I'm
comments
saying what
happen
I
to have been
see. I'm
around is.
allowed to
Yeah, thanks,
comment
Sandra.
on
This is.
what I see.
All right, guys. There's probably a lot of stuff on everybody's timeline, but we weren't getting into that conversation on here just. Um, but we were talking about God and why God allows evil. He does allow evil for the simple fact that is how we grow, and that is part of the free will. Just like he allows demonic activity to affect those who are holy. They don't have free reign. They are on a tight leash, but he allows it, and this is coming from the Christian faith side, to better the soul of the individual who's afflicted. Not because he's mean, not because he enjoys it, not because he likes it, but to allow growth of the soul of the individual. That's what we are taught, and that's why it happens. Like, I've gone through this. I I wouldn't say I cursed God, but I walked away when my sister was killed by a heroin addict in a hit and run, and I couldn't understand why he would allow that to happen to someone. In my opinion, was the nicest person in the world and the most caring, and had such a great future ahead of herself, and allowed this guy who's a scumbag, who was like the multiple time, it was like the fifth or sixth time he was arrested for being under the influence, but because the way the court system runs, they pleaded it down to a non-criminal charge where he would have been a three-time loser. Ended up taking the life of my sister, and I had a very hard time dealing with that. Um, and then I realized, you know, her because she was so good, her time was done. Her purpose was over. Um, and looking back, I miss her, but it helped me grow so much spiritually and within myself as an individual. It was kind of a blessing. I don't mean to say that in a bad way, but it made me realize things I took for granted. It made me realize things that I was neglecting in my life. Um, and it made me more holier and more religious, to be honest, going through that. And it was hard. It was so freaking hard. Um, one, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to kill the son of a bitch. And it was on my mind every day. I sat next to him in a bar. I was gonna do it. I walked away. And then one day I'm like, you know what? What my whole life is focused on this loser. I forgave him. The moment I forgave him for what he did, even though he showed no remorse, I was free. I didn't think about him anymore. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't upset, depressed anymore. And he never thought once about me, but I was thinking about him every single day. And I think a lot of life has to do with that we're here to learn lessons. Um, Even like kind of like you're disagreeing with Rabbi down there. Yeah, I just looked through the profile. I could see what he's doing with his name and stuff, but he didn't bring it up. But even though he feels that way, it takes more for you to say, maybe maybe we can change his mind. Versus going head to head and be like, oh, he's a jerk. I'm blocking him. He's an asshole. But being open, even though you dislike him, it's much harder, but it's better for you to be like, I forgive him for the way he thinks. Maybe something happened in his life that he feels that way. It's a harder route, but down the road, it benefits you more um, than hating. Hating is easy. It's easy to hate someone. It's hard to forgive them based upon what they did to you or their beliefs, and accept them for who they are, and then pray, and then hope that eventually they'll have a change of heart. Um, so that's why I think God allows it. Plus, could you imagine if we didn't have free will and everybody was just happy all the time and everything went right all the time and nothing bad ever? You know how boring this life on this planet would be if everything was puppies, rainbows, and butterflies? Half of the spaces we jump in, there's some type of drama or conflict, right? That's what makes it interesting. If everything was just like, I agree with Sarah, I agree with Rabbi, just and everybody gets along, life would be so boring. I, I mean, I understand, like I'm Catholic, so with Christ's return, it'd be great. Being in heaven be great. Maybe it's different there, but on earth, it would be so boring. I mean, we wouldn't have sports, right? So it's almost like we're meant to have conflicts. So even if there was no war going on in the world, there'd be fist fights on Sundays in the wintertime because your football team's playing my football team and your team sucks and my team's better. It's almost like it's human nature, like it's part of the struggle. But go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for him that he has to live his life that way with so much hate. But that's his prerogative. That's for him and is his little mind to live in that world, just like my own mind has its own
You don't
world.
exactly sound like
Um,
love. I mean, you're kind of, judgy Judy. I mean, let's just say it. I mean, I'm going to say the
yeah,
quiet part
well,
out loud. Like, you judged, like, literally. I looked at your profile and you're literally like, breeding dogs is evil. And like, you're judging. You are the arbiter of good and evil. You're the arbiter of good and evil in your life. You're not going to impose that on anybody
do you
else.
know why I say that? Because there's a lot of dogs in shelters right now who need homes. And all the people who are breeding dogs are making it harder for those dogs to get homes. So it's not because I think it's an evil thing to do. I think that we need to be responsible. And that's really what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you can think whatever you want, Aim.
Since I was a topic of discussion for a few minutes there, I just wanted to say one thing. It's I come under fire for my opposition to the genocide of brown people like all the time, so it's not a thing for me. But I came in here to talk about aliens. I You can go through my timeline all you want, and you can disagree with my politics, and that's fine. But I really want to talk about aliens. That's why I came here.
No, I'm sure if you went through everybody's timeline, there's something you'll find about mine that someone doesn't like. And the thing is, it gets personal, right? And this is what evil does. Evil will, like, right away. Just I'm not attacking you in any way. But you looking at Rabbi right away, what he had posted drew you to emotion right away, right? Evil likes to do that. So, um, something I can understand why you were emotional about that and maybe angry about the things that he's posted. Because I looked through that. But some of it, if you just have a logical conversation, and it's politics, right? But right away, your emotions go,
It's
bam,
lies.
I don't
It's a
like this
lot of
guy.
lies. Like, right?
But it's emotional. See how like it goes from we can sit have a we're having a logical conversation about the experiencers and things, but you can get pulled in with your emotions real quick. A lot of this is what I believe. Like I have a hard time with this. I'll judge someone real quick and I'll be like, I don't like them. They're a jerk. From the first 5 minutes, and I'm 52 and I still struggle with it, but I know I do it. So I try not to, or I'll get angry quick. And I'm like, why am I getting so angry? I don't even know this person, but just the way they're talking is aggravating me. That isn't logical. So when you're dealing with entities and things, they can put things in your head. So you have your life experiences, those things are true. You have your beliefs, those things are true to you. Someone else does, and if it's opposite of you, it draws your emotion. Um, instead of
I'll
sitting back,
I'll tell you why it drives my emotion because two people just died yesterday and they were Jewish. And it's because of the rabid bullshit that people like this person spreads around. He just said brown people. Jewish people are brown. So, it's just a bunch of lies based on lies. That's why I get emotional because I just don't like the bullshit and I'll call it out.
yeah, but just you said that, right? So that affects you personally, right? Now, I just watched a video that happened in the old city where a Jewish individual ran up, knocked down a nun, and beat her on the street because she's Catholic. That makes me angry. Is that all Jewish people? No, but it was a Jewish individual who did it. See
How
how
many times do you see that happen though, Mav? How
I've
many
seen
how many times do you see,
that
you
happens
know,
That happens on the
in Israel.
regular, and that's not even getting into the masses of civilians, women, children that have been killed by Israel, by the IDF, by settlers over the past 2.5 years, if not going back to the past 10.
and Arabs have killed the settlers as well. It's a back and
It's
forth.
not a back and forth, it's entirely one sided. If you look at the kill counts, you can
No,
see
it's not.
immediately
I'm
how one
sorry.
sided it
I've
is.
seen both. You're lying. I've seen both. Have you lived in
I didn't say
Israel?
you haven't seen both. What I'm telling you is that it's
Because
one
I
sided.
did.
I'm glad
I
for
came in
you.
there open-eyed and I didn't really understand the whole
Did you go to Gaza, the West Bank?
problem there because
Or did you stay in Israel? Stayed in the nice
I've been
parts,
all
didn't you?
over
Stayed
Israel.
in the nice
I
parts.
have I have friends all over
Oh, you
Israel.
got black friends?
So, yeah, I have Indian friends from
Oh,
Israel.
really?
I had like a lot of different people from different places that lived in Israel.
Okay.
So I saw a big chunk of what went on. It's both sides.
Well, let's just pretend that you've debunked my claim that hundreds of thousands of people have been killed or displaced over the past 2.5 years by Israel and move on to discussing aliens.
Yeah, we're not going to come to an agreement here, but I understand both points of view. Um, yeah, Rabbi, what you came up to talk about? Do you have any experiences at all?
Yeah, actually, I do. When I was a kid, I think I have missing memory because I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and there was this like purple like light like going across my window like in the distance, and I just remember sitting there and being absolutely terrified, like uh, locked in my bed, sweating bullets. And it was just because of the sound this thing was giving off. It was this incredibly menacing sound, and I can't explain it any further than that. It was very weird. Um, and I don't know if it was an abduction and the memory was taken away or something, but I've never forgotten that. That has been etched in my memory. And I've had other odd experiences that I can get into that aren't necessarily abductions, but this has been a thing in my life.
Do you accept it as positive or negative?
The one I had was decidedly negative. The phenomena itself doesn't have to be either. My understanding is that the majority of them seem to be negative because positive ETs generally want to protect your free will and they don't want to interfere. They have all kind of like, the law of non-interference going on. And so if someone is abducted, it's more often going to be the negative type because they don't have any respect for your free will, right? They're totally happy to interfere. Um, and then you get into the whole discussion about, um, you know, did the United States government developed the technology to imitate these abductions, and now you're dealing with, now it's not just two possibilities, it's three. It's positive, negative, and negative United States contact, right? That's made to look like an alien abduction. So there's all kinds of weird possibilities out there.
So true, because we really don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's, see, the thing is, when we talk about aliens, because our experience with them is so limited, we always fall into this trap in discussion of, thinking that aliens is one thing. Are aliens good? Are aliens bad? Are aliens green? Are they blue? Are they tall? Are they short? And it's like people forget that there's a whole universe out there, much larger than our planet. And look at the diversity of expression, phenotype, even temperament that we have on our planet. What makes you think it'd be any less diverse that when you leave our planet, right? You have multiple worlds. Um, there is a huge array of possibilities when it comes to alien contact.
That's so true. Sarah Beth, you have anything else?
Um, yeah, I feel like we for real could probably talk about CE5 and experiences all night. Because it really does have a lot of overlap with, in my opinion, the paranormal and um, things like that. So um, I was just trying to think of a good one. Maybe I could share really quick before we wrap. Um, yeah, sure, why not? One of the first like mass sightings that I experienced. It lasted for about 15 minutes, and it it started off. I was outside, summer evening. It was dark. Me and my daughter were just hanging out outside, swinging on our hammock, and um, so of course I was stargazing, just looking up at the sky, and um, I remember I had the feeling like, oh man, I'm gonna go inside. Like I'm kind of done. Um, you know, just ready to call it. And for some reason, um I didn't jump, and run with that thought. I lingered, and I was glad that I did because I just, like I said, I was looking up at the sky, and um all of a sudden, out of the bottom right field of my vision, uh, an orb came floating in, and it wasn't moving very fast. It was actually pretty slow. Um, and as soon as it got to where it was moving to be just about directly right over top, which, like I said, I live in an incredibly suburban neighborhood, light pollution, like I live in the capital city of my state. And like as soon as it got directly over top of my property and me and my daughter, it flashed like the whole orb completely illuminated and got brighter. And it did that like 3 to 5 times. I'm not exactly sure. But I just remember it being so incredibly confirming. Like, oh my God, this is for me. They're trying to get my attention right now. Um, and so I watched it, and I had the thought like, oh, you've got to get your phone, you've got to record this. But at the same time, I was like, oh hell no. Like I want to be fully in this. I don't want to experience it through the lens of a camera. Um, so with that particular, orb that came in, after it flashed really bright, I remember I felt this like I said earlier, it's a very visceral connection. So I felt it throughout like my entire body. It was just very activating. It was like very comforting. It was kind of one of the first times I had experienced that feeling of being just enveloped and embraced by a very loving energy. And it's very different from times where I've, called out to God or, source, as I like to call it, which I appreciated Ames share, um, when she was talking about bypassing everything in between and just going to the highest source. Um, which is what I have to do a lot, especially if I feel a negative presence or entity around. Generally, I'll start to get intrusive thoughts and stuff when it's really bad, and that's when I'll call in backup. But which I just mean my angelic or soul team. But so, like I said, I was fully in connection with whatever was in the sky at the time, and it became very emotional, it became very moving. um and after the one orb uh kind of continued to drift, it just drifted up and off over my head, but then they started coming in groups. There would be two at a time that would come. There would be three at a time that would come, and they'd be in like the triangle formation. Um, but these ones, after the first one didn't glow bright like the first one did. That's like it literally was like the one orb came in to flash really bright and be like, "Hey, girl," to get my attention, like I said. And um, I'll see if I can find and post a video really quick that I do have. I did get a couple of videos that were short that show. I know one for sure shows a star in the frame, and then it shows a pair of the orbs going by, and then I think it even shows maybe a set of three, or maybe it's just another pair. But um, yeah, it's very interesting. And then actually, this month. I think it was about a week or two ago, I had a sighting like that where the first orb that came flashed really, really bright. The whole thing illuminated as it passed by me while I was standing on my balcony. And then all of a sudden, I just had a whole bunch of them coming, but these ones were coming from all sorts of different directions, and they were just one at a time. They didn't come in groups or a pair. So, but yeah, the phenomenon is real. I think it very much is subjective. Like I said, it depends on your own internal state, because what you give is what you get. And if you are if you are not in fear, then you will not have a fearful experience, in my personal opinion. But, everybody, I think a lot of people feel differently. So it just varies. It depends. So I don't know. But I think this is a great space, Mav. I think we could do you could do experiencer spaces maybe like once a month or something. You probably have a lot of fun with that. There's a lot more of us out there than I think, because I also think that experiencers, the number of us having has increased um, drastically in the last couple of years, and I'm not sure what that's about, but I think it's interesting. I think it's also why certain things like the Enigma app and like the CE5 app, things like, this platform exists uh, to help filter, find, and, single out like gifted and talented or, a lot of times I think that there's an obsession with the DNA and the blood of experiencers. I mean, there's reasons why it's in families, and it tends to follow down the genetic line. So um, yeah, I actually see a really good friend of mine down there, Bridget. She's awesome. She has a couple of experiences too. So, um, but yeah, I think that you have the ability to host rooms like that. Just in case you were curious.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel so awful because I'm like, the more I've learned, like I said, I still think I'm a UFO baby, because I haven't been here that long, maybe 6 months. So I'm still learning, but I find it so disturbing. Like there's nowhere for you guys to go, and I can feel how heavy it is on some of you to come up to speak, and man, I wish there's something I could do. Yeah, it's just very disturbing to me that there's nowhere for you to go, and you're not taken seriously. And if you would switch it to something else, let's say you switched it to uh demonic, right? There'd be all these people reaching out to you saying, "Oh, well, we could try this." But because I don't know if it's because of how they portrayed abductees from the very beginning when people start discussing it, that everyone's just crazy. There's no such thing. If you just take a short amount of time and listen to people's stories, you can see how they relate, and it's really disturbing. And I spent like the last month, I'm trying to get a hold of someone that I can bring in from a spiritual side that doesn't have the same mental block that you're all just nuts. And I don't think any of you are. But when you go, like I said, the person I'm going back and forth in emails, he went to a convention, and it was like any other, it was like a Pokemon convention. Everybody's dressed up as aliens, and they weren't the most rational people. And now he's interviewing it, and it just gives a bad persona on all of you that are experiencers, right? Because that is not what I found on, UFOX. You guys are not nut jobs. You guys have professional lives. You have important professional lives and jobs, like um, Angela has, um, Fringe. I mean, credible, great pedigrees when it comes to occupation and careers. Like, you're not nut jobs, and you don't come across that way when you're telling your stories. And I think what we all call the normies would think that, yeah, this is all just make believe, and mental illness. It's not. And then I'm trying to find people and show them the other side, not what you see on TV, not what you see on YouTube videos or TikTok at conventions. Um, this stuff is real. There's something here. There's definitely something here. So if there's any way I could try to help, that's what I would like to do. And I'm trying to reach out to get people that aren't in the community, um, send them some spaces that I have that show that this thing is real, and it's relative to other things that are going on, especially like I said, on the spiritual side, very similar, like uncanny similar. Like, I never thought it was the same thing. It kind of freaking me out a little bit. The more and more I learn, it's like, yo, there's something here.
Oh, really quick, I wanted to read something that I had put in the nest. It was a repost from Fringe, but this was, and you guys will have to watch the clip when we get a chance. But it just says, yes, the quote aliens have the technology to remove our souls from our bodies and place them in other containers. Disclosure isn't about UFOs; it's about the ultimate destiny of the human soul. And I think that that is absolutely 100% true. Um, I think that ultimately the obsession of the aliens and the NHI is our consciousness, or, our souls. I think it's an energy source. I think it's a form of currency in a way. Um, and in fact, one of the times I had this really, it wasn't, to me it was a nightmare at the time, but I remember being showed, this is so weird to say, I don't know how you say it, as they were using the energy from human souls in some way to help power the tech, to help power the ships. I don't know. Kind of hard to describe how it was like depicted in my mind, but it was almost like I was just out floating in space, and I crossed paths with a ship, and there were these poor souls that were tethered to the ship, and they uh, couldn't couldn't get free. So it was really troublesome. But I don't know. I don't know if you count that as a download. I don't know if you count that as anything. But since my exorcism, and it giving me like that was literally around the time where I gained access to my subconscious and my dreams back. I was able to finally start recalling my dreams, and uh, it was just very interesting. It was a really profound point in my life. A lot of shifts really happened after that, of course. So yeah, but we can talk about that a lot later.
No, thank you so much, Sarah Beth. Rabbi, do you have something to say before you?
Yeah. I was going to comment on what you had said about the kind of like personalities of people in the movements and the community. I I do like to. I'm a big fan of channeled material. Big fan of the Law of One. Big fan of the Casey material, and I go to sometimes I'll visit. I'll go to channelers talks and that kind of thing. And one of the the biggest disappointments for me when I go there, and it's one of the reasons why I sometimes actually dread going to them now, is um, since this has become popular, you have a much higher amount of the spiritual bypass people that kind of treat this as a hobby or a style, something to put on their Instagram page. And
Being a star seed has become a fad. I know what you're
it
talking about.
yeah, it really has. And it's not gratifying. It's essentially um, it's they treat it like a fashion, and for them it's something that gives them psychological license to deny that evil exists, to deny that bad things exist, and to live in a world of their own creation where only fairy dust, love, and light exist. And I think that's really, really damaging. And I don't enjoy talking to those people at all. It's not a, it's like conversational junk food. So I'm also a big fan of finding people that are serious people and are also into this kind of thing.
Oh, thank you so much, Rabbi. Um, there's a complete announcement to everybody. Like I might not agree with everything that's got Rabbi's post, but I don't agree with a lot of things on everybody's post and timeline. But if we're all having the same situation and issues, right? I think we can remove those barriers and still come together and discuss it, right? And help each other out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't even though I agree with Guy, I don't agree with Guy on everything. But I do have a special part in my heart for Guy because he is my space boo. But I don't know, Sarah Beth is getting close. I don't know. She is another one of my co-hosts for a different space. So inside joke there. All right, we got someone requesting up. Let's see. What's going on, Bridget?
Hey, Mav, how's it going?
Bridget, long time no see.
Doing great.
Hey, uh, Rabbi, I hear you. There's a lot of us that have been awakened to our star-seeded nature for a long time and are much more integrated and anchored, who are doing our best to support. But that runs through all communities, not just the starseed community. It runs in the consciousness communities, the spiritual communities. It's kind of an evolution that came from the new age community. One of the many things that my personal opinion, it's time to evolve beyond. But it also comes from this world is a crazy hot mess right now, and people are looking for escape. And when you have the memories of your lives beyond Earth and you start to connect and communicate, if you're not anchoring into your body, into your cells, you can float above your body, especially if you're looking for an escape, right? So some of it I feel like is I don't want to face the reality layers that other people are playing in. I want to build my own. And some of it is all of the things I just mentioned, right? But when it comes to all of these experiences, like once you have an experience with something, I've grown up like this, right? So I've grown up with paranormal experiences, experiences with beings of light, all kinds of things my whole life. And then as an adult, I had my first two contact experiences 3 hours apart with two totally different beings. And I literally was excited after the first one. I could feel my consciousness rearranging, and I was like, "Oh, great, just another thing to add to my list of totally weird, like high strange stuff," right? And I was like, it was the last thing on my mind. But then after that, a bunch of things started happening in my reality. I started remembering things. I started having all kinds of different things happen, right? And I do my best to integrate quickly. That's my thing. Not everyone integrates quickly. Some people get caught in, you know, um, confusion and cognitive dissonance and all kinds of things. I like to stay fluid with, I've learned, I'll say that, and I actually do enjoy this part. I like to stay fluid with what I hold as, beliefs, truth, lowercase t truths, right? Because I find that the more information comes through, the bigger the picture becomes. It becomes more expanded. So what looked like a flower at the end could be this, like, I don't know, like a botanical garden, you know what I mean? And so yeah, to me it's important to leave room for that. Um, but yeah, I mean it changes
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
reality.
Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I was just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I was going to say that I know it's important to. No, sorry. I know it's important to allow everyone kind of like their growth, and like these people are new to this, right? And so it's like they need this stage. They need a growth road. I know it's important, but in a way, it feels like you have to wade through the first graders, right, to get to the discussion on calculus. And that's, I don't want to take anything away from someone, but when I go to these, when I want to have these discussions, I want to have them with people that have done their homework, that have actually looked into it, and haven't simply gone through metaphysics to find, what am I supposed to say here? They haven't simply gone through metaphysics to find the material that kind of like makes them feel good. They've actually subjected it to some kind of rigorous, filter. Um, for example, I've read through probably thousands of near-death experiences on the NDERF website by now. And there are definite patterns, there are definite things that you can spot when one seems off, when one of them seems like it's a little bit out of place or weird. And there are definite lessons that come out of that. And so when someone comes up and they start talking about NDEs and they're talking about something that sounds like this whole love and lighty thing, then I start to kind of tune out because although there is a lot of love and light in near-death experiences, the lessons that are brought back are generally not just about feeling good. It's not just about being in heaven and feeling good. It's about taking back this awareness of your mission here and what needs to be done for everyone else. And a lot of times the mission is simply to come back and tell people about it. And I just have difficulty when people take that as some kind of an excuse to like go off into fairyland and become like super ultra mega hippies. Because again, it detracts from the credibility of the information, is definitely one part, but also it's annoying as hell.
I try to be gentle just because, it depends on the age, it depends on the mentality and the types of experiences, right? So you have I personally have had experiences with so many layers of what people call the phenomena. And to me, everything is connected, but they're not all the same. And so this is just from my own experiences, right, over my lifetime. And I know how your entire inner reality can shift in an instant. I've had that happen repeatedly over my life, time after time, to the point that I'm really relaxed when something like that happens, right? Which most people would be freaking out, right? I'm like, okay, just stay calm. It's all gonna, the things that need to fall away are gonna fall away. It's like you can feel your beliefs leaving, not really, but you can sense it, right? Like everything is changing. So I know the intensity of amazing experiences, but also experiences that'll like, that'll chill your blood kind of thing, right? So I feel like we gotta have compassion, but there's also a lot of groupthink happening in lots of communities, and we see that on X, even in communities that aren't like this, right? Um, so I feel like the groupthink kind of brings in, that what do we call it, Sarah? What's that? What's the? I'm blanking on the term that everybody uses for it, where it's just like you lose your mind, and everybody else sort of echo chamber, right? It's an echo chamber, right? It creates that echo chamber effect, and I've been in those. You can get caught up, and then you learn, why am I caught up in this echo chamber, and you leave, right? I mean, everybody probably has had a moment like that. So I feel like, to the outside observer, it's gonna look crazy because it's also a microculture that's been created around this, right? Just like the same kind of it's similar to the microculture that's being created around plant medicine and different things like that. It has a very unusual, I get to stand out and
A little
be
dystopian
accepted
kind
kind
of
of
lens of the what
vibe to it that looks nuts to people outside of it, right? So I think, it is what it is. This is what makes Earth so beautiful at the same time. It's annoying to someone that's like, this is not my vibe. It is their vibe at that moment. 10 years from now, they may be embarrassed, but in that moment, it's their vibe. So I don't know. I think just giving each other grace, there's been so much intensity because we all have such differing views and ways of expression. Um, and a lot of this is brought on by the government. The whole reason experiencers and anyone that's ever had a sighting is considered crazy, we all know it's because of the CIA and the three letters, right? So it's like, why are we still perpetuating this? We know that it was a total brainwashing campaign that they did on society at large, and it became global, right? That's the power of the group think and buying into the mind control programs unconsciously, unintentionally, right? And still to this day, there is a joke about something that, you know, Whitley Strieber had that was a very intense experience. He put it in a book, and still people are joking about it. They don't even know who he is, right? So, I mean, like, think about how that gets pumped out. I don't know. That's just where I am with all of this. But I hear you, Rabbi.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yep.
Thank
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Rabbi. I'm going to be ending the space. I'm kind of 20 minutes over. Actually, it was supposed to be an hour space, so I'm an hour and 20 minutes over. But it was a great conversation, and I think it's important because a lot of people got to come up. I learned a lot. I want to continue to learn. And I think what we learned here tonight is CE5 encounters are real. We still don't know exactly what these things are. Are they ETs? Or are they something else? But the bottom line is the old saying, be careful what you ask for because you might just get it. And I think that was said well earlier in the space with Freighter mentioned that, you know, be careful because this phenomenon is real. And if you ask for it, you might just get it. And it might not just stay with you out wherever you're at. It might come home with you and remain with you. I didn't hear too many people that were too frightened, but just listening to the stories, it doesn't sound joyful all the time. So just be careful. And I do find it funny. I think Sarah Beth mentioned earlier, you know, Dr. Greer's been talking about this since the 90s. He's had multiple conferences where he's going to release it all, and he never releases anything. The only thing that he's pushing is the CE5, which I find a little odd now, listening to all of you, that this is real. Why is he only pushing that and telling people how to do that, but not really dropping any information that we haven't already kind of heard about? That there's secret government programs that they're not telling us. I think we're all kind of on the same page with that one. but why isn't he breaking it down specifically and naming things and falling back on, well, I have a whistleblower, but I'm in communication with them and they're going to come forward, but they never come forward. Go ahead, Rabbi.
I was just going to add to that. I just want to remind people it's been 26 years since the Disclosure Project. I remember in 2000 watching the video of the members of Congress, airline pilots, whatever, sitting in front of Congress to go on the congressional record of saying that they had experience with unidentified flying objects and or aliens. And I remember being so excited because they said, "Great, we're actually moving on this. This is actually going to get out." And then nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. And it's one of the most frustrating things in the world. It's like watching for cancer cures. You always hear that there's always a cure right around the corner, and then it never comes. Right, the corner never bends. And after a while, you begin to wonder if it's all just a show. It's just a big distraction and maybe just a delay tactic.
I think anything's possible this time. And I don't think when they finally release documents, it's going to be disclosure. I think we're kind of already in disclosure. It's just how quick, or as Doomer says, we're not in catastrophic disclosure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I think
but I'm
just
not.
real disclosure will only happen when civilization collapses and the control structure that they have no longer applies. That's the only way it's going to happen. And unfortunately, for better or for worse, we seem to be on our way there right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're almost there.
Heck, well, Goose, what do I say all the time? The only thing that we're missing so far is the dead walking. Um, but hey, it's only 2026. We still have time. We still have time. I think everything else since I've been alive has happened. We were attacked by terrorists in the United States. We had, potential economic collapse. We've had a pandemic that was going to kill everybody. Uh, yeah, what the only thing that's kind of missing is, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, a huge asteroid. We have to have that yet. Oh, and then the Walking Dead. There's two things left. I mean, shit, everything is checked off. Everything else is checked off the list.
We have the frogs falling from the sky yet? Because that was on the list.
Yeah, dude, Mav, I was about to say we just had Three Eye Atlas a few months ago, and I'm gonna argue with you. I think the Walking Dead have been here. It's all the people looking down on their devices.
Oh, that is true.
Actually, if you
Yeah,
were like a first century BC prophet and you had the ability to look forward into the future, and you saw the fentanyl zombies in LA, wouldn't you describe them as the Walking Dead?
that is true. That is true. So true. All right, everybody. On that note, I'm here 7 days a week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or actually now Eastern Daylight Time, except for Goose because he's in Arizona and they don't switch the clocks around. I don't know how to get away with that. That's not fair. But he's either early or late all the time because he doesn't follow the rest of the country. Those poor Arizonans. But thank you everybody for pulling up. Sarah, I'm gonna be reaching out to you because yeah, I definitely want to go into what you were discussing. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, Pop. Everyone else in the space. I'm going to have a guest that was supposed to be here tonight. He just emailed me. He should be here on Monday. He was a defense contractor in charge of security at some of the DUMBs and actually got into firefights with grays, reptilians, and believe it or not, werewolves, if you can believe that one. I can't verify anything. I don't have any receipts, but he's been telling the same story for 25 years. He was on Coast to Coast with Art Bell. So he's been around for quite a while. So he's definitely very interesting. His stories are very interesting. I just can't prove or disprove anything that he's saying. So I just want to put that out to everyone because normally I have people on here that I can verify. I just cannot verify any of his information, but he's definitely very interesting. And of course, we got Mr. Doom. I got to bring Mr. Doomer up before we rug the space. What's going on, Doomer?
Boomer.
from three different people about J Just Warrior, the Just Apocalypse, the Just of Arc, J Just of Arc. What did I miss?
We covered everything, Doomer.
Oh, that's wonderful. What do you have? What do you have coming up? Any catastrophic shit? Do you have any guests coming up? Burchett, Burleson, Trump. Who do we have?
Who do I have? How do I pronounce his name? Give me a second. Of course, you come in last second. Throw me off. I'm just joking.
Well, I'm a paid agent.
He's gonna
Yeah,
have
you.
Pasolka in here tomorrow night. You know, no big deal.
No way. You got Pasolka?
No, I got Lieutenant Colonel Greg Rinchick.
Wait. Do you really have Pasolka coming in here?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Is he pulling my leg? Can somebody just save me here? Is
Who's
he?
Basilka?
He's figuring out the scheduling right now.
Yeah, Doomer, don't you check the DMs, bro?
I don't check. I at this point I'm so vain and arrogant. I expect because people yell at me for shit that's not my fault. I also expect them to yell at me for like upcoming things. You know what I mean? I expect people while they're yelling at me to also update me with the news. Do you know what I mean?
There,
I'm being a here.
there. You know, Doomer would be aware if he went to my website and actually signed up, like he was telling people to.
He just wants me to sign up for the website. He's just emotionally blackmailing me so that he can get my non porn spam email address, and then he's going to
Yeah,
deploy some AI into my system. That's what.
no, I'm. Now, if it was Goose, I'd be concerned.
Um, let me take a.
No,
I'll send.
tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is. I can't believe you don't know about tomorrow night. So tomorrow night is Friday, bro. It is fun night. It's nothing serious. We're not talking about ETs. We're not talking about hijacking. We're not talking about spiritual deception. It is karaoke night at 7, and then Tailspin After Dark, where it gets a little bit spicy with my co-host Sarah Beth. That's
Now,
tomorrow.
what are you saying? Like it was the most apocalyptic space I've ever been in. Was your love space about cheating? Like the whole room lost its shit. I wanted to go back to talking about God hating everyone and the end of the world and eternal soul recycling. That's like my base heart rate. Like I have like slow 40-45 beats per minute when I talk about the end of the world. And then I talk a little bit about evolution and male female dynamics, and then people's pubic hairs just lit themselves on fire.
No, no, you lit the room on fire, then you left.
I did. I got a phone call. I got a phone. You know why? It was my son calling me because he has to black pill me about men and women. I get my wisdom about men and women from my 17-year-old son. That's it flows upstream. And then I vomit it out in spaces.
No, you really lit the room on fire last Friday.
He has a
It's
tendency
like,
to do that, you know, just starting fires and bailing.
I was considering deleting that space. I'm like, man, this thing got too hot at the end.
You were considering deleting that space?
Oh yeah, because then he's like, "You're accusing me of cheating on my wife." I'm like, "That's not what I said." Then he kept. I said, "Oh great." I said, "This is going to be the one that sues me." This guy right here, thanks to Doomer, he's going to be saying, "I called him a cheat on a space."
Yeah, I did. You do remember me saying that I consider the topic of male and female dynamics to be the most radioactive, explosive, and dangerous topic. And still to this day, I have not shared my full, unbridled, unredacted thoughts on the matter. What you guys heard was not even 1% of what I actually think. That was just the amuse bouche. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're right. I think we're better off talking about religion and politics
You are.
than talking about dynamics because that space just got free.
Yeah.
It went. It, it took a turn, but it only took a turn after you were on Doomer.
I'm very sorry. I just threw a grenade and left. I had to take the call.
Sure.
What's funny, the funniest is you had like a guest there, and I liked him too, but there were three people shouting at me at the same time. So it was like, you got to let me finish the fucking sentence. And then comes the typical, I like you, Toomer. Like, I have nothing against you. You know, it's bad when people start telling you that they like you and you're just trying to finish your fucking sentence. That's when you know, like, the marriage is going downhill. When the person who won't let you speak is telling you how much they like you and you like them too. That's how you know you got them triggered. Um, but yeah, what's the topic for this cataclysmic tailspin after dark, this harmless renegotiation of male and female dynamics?
Crickets.
Uh-oh.
Nobody wants to touch it.
See?
I didn't understand the question at all.
And it was his
We can.
anniversary too, Bridget. Like
No, you
this
didn't.
man, yes, against the sagacity of the community, the collective consciousness, you know, everybody were like, Mav, just, you know, have your fucking day, you know, you know, do your wife, do the oil massage thing. Don't run two spaces this day. All right.
It's cool. Me and Miss A totally convinced him to rug the space in the middle of someone's chair.
Yeah. And next thing you know, it's like the Antichrist. It's like it's end times. It's crazy. And I was like, Mav, like this could have been an oil massage and sex, and instead it's people losing their fucking minds.
I know it was my 22nd wedding anniversary. I'm like, I shouldn't have ran this damn space. I should have. Yep. She went to bed. She wasn't happy. Then I'm sitting like, I don't even know how to get out of this conversation. And then Miss A and Sarah are DMing me going, just rug it. We'll act like it was the app. I'm like, good idea. Boom. End space.
No way. She
That's
did the
Way.
whole
genius.
they'll never notice. Miss A
Nope.
got in your ear and said, like, they won't know. Just hit leave. Just hit leave. That sounds like Miss A. That sounds exactly like the advice she would give. You know.
Actually, she was
Uh,
saying to go ahead and end it, and I typed it and I said, "Rug it, let's go."
Oh my god.
I'm a terrible influence.
You know, you should have just done
yeah.
AI, Mav. You should have just had an AI version of you, got Logan to clone your voice. You know what I mean? Maybe clone Guy's voice as well. And every like 37 seconds you can have Guy say something really random and weird, you know, just in the middle of the space. It doesn't even need to fit. You can just be like, Sarah, you know, I like the way the water mattress feels when my girlfriend and I make love. Just something really out of left field. You know, you could have fooled us all. We just needed an AI version of you.
Don't you know who Guy is? He would say something way worse than that.
I was picking the PG
That's why
version.
Guy, that's why Guy is Mav's space boo. He's the raunchy one.
Not raunchy. Uh,
Naughty.
he just
He's the naughty one.
he just gives it to you long
Okay,
And
did you
hard.
w-
and hard.
hold on, wait a second. Are we now we're getting to the meat of things, okay? Are tomorrow what is the title called? After Dark. What is this thing called?
Tomorrow's after dark. Is it okay that you contact your ex, talk to your ex when you're in a relationship?
Okay. Um Obviously not.
That would be a very
Unless
quick space.
yeah. Space is over, you guys. Answer no. Next topic. Are you going to discuss the Brian Johnson microbiome sampling? Is this going to come up tomorrow?
I am not touching that. And you said to not even say anything about that. And now here you are spilling the beans.
I am because you know what I do when I want to touch something, but I don't want to touch it myself. First, I try to get you to touch it, and then I try to get Sarah to touch it. Now, that's going to sound wrong if you clip it. If people will just clip that, it's not going to sound the way I want it to sound. All right. But here,
Or will it? Just kidding.
there's there's a new dating app idea that has been inspired by the Brian Johnson post. I'm going to push it up to the nest, and
No,
you may never be allowed to do spaces again when I'm done. When I find this other post, Sarah, where's that insane post? Did you already take it down? Did you already delete it?
No, it's still on my page. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, so
I'm I'm definitely clipping what you said before. I'm gonna post and you community and say, "Look, I found another one."
Got another live one, folks.
Um, okay. Does anybody on stage who's speaking, does anybody not know what I'm talking about when I talk about Brian Johnson? Have we all seen
I
it?
don't know. I've been
Oh my
I've been
goodness,
off app for a
Bridget,
while.
you are in for a treat. All right, you are in for a treat. Let me get the Brian Johnson
All right,
post.
I'm away from my PC and I'm broadcasting on YouTube. So before you get into detail, let me end that before you start talking, because you're definitely gonna get me a strike.
You're worried that Brian Johnson, Brian Johnson's fellatio, is it fellatio? No, it's not fellatio. Cunnilingus. You're worried that his
Cunnilingus.
cunnilingus is going to get you kicked off of platform. There was a lot. There was a lot that happened today. It was almost like Brian Johnson coordinated with J.P. Morgan to cause a bunch of scandal.
The app was hot today. It was kicking.
Now,
Oh no.
Wow,
That looked like a sniper shot, dude. She was in the middle of a wow.
I think that was divine intervention.
It's freaking Elon.
I still
You know
see
what? I
him.
bet you his phone died, because it does happens to him all the time. He forgets to charge his phone. He jumps on a space, and then his phone dies.
Mm,
He's listener on mine, but my ex is always messed up.
yeah, same here. And if yeah, if he doesn't pop right back up, he may have died or crashed.
Or he's FaceTiming his son.
I don't know. He already did that a few times today. Dang, I think his phone may have died.
Freaking doomer. How do you?
That saved you, Mav, from whatever I don't know.
Oh, you
I'll
definitely.
tell you later,
You,
Britt.
Okay.
It's funny. Which it's really interesting because I would speak about this kind of regularly in spaces, like, um, which it comes from like a maybe more like a spiritual place, but I always used to say, you know, your real soulmate will be such a match for you that they're not going to throw your pH levels off, if you know what I'm saying. And so now apparently there's a dating app um, that samples
Your
both
pH levels?
yeah, for both genders, and will let you know if you're a match or not. Like uh here, I'll go get, I have the
That's
post.
wild.
uh it is wild. But there's like a whole chart and graph about this. And apparently, oh, there he goes. He's back.
the aliens are against optimal cunnilingus. That's what's happening right now. And don't worry, I would never let down women like this. So Brian Johnson, the guy who's the maybe the gayest, theoretically straight, health span maxing person on this planet. He looks like a pasty, genetically engineered Viking. He wanted to assure everybody that he was straight, so he made. I just pushed it to Vanessa. He made this post. He said, "Just gave Kate oral sex. Good night, everyone."
definitely channel. Thanks, doomer.
Yeah. And then, because you can't just make a statement like this, Bridget, you need to provide graphs and numbers. He then provided a breakdown of the microbiome. It turns out she's in the top 1% of all vaginas. Her microbiome scored 100 out of 100. And her sample is dominated by the single most protective bacterial species a vagina can host, which is Lactobacillus crispatus. And so, ladies, go out there and get your Lactobacillus crispatus. It's flying off the shelves, and this will land you in the top 1%. So yeah, I found that very interesting today.
Prebiotics are literally flying off the shelves as we speak.
I want to know how come Derek Rose didn't come up with this app. Come on, Derek. Man,
Oh wait,
Everybody's got to get in on this topic.
wait a
Hot
second. Did
topic.
Mav take it down? Are you?
I'm speechless.
Did Mav take down? Wait a second. Mav is being an anti-feminist right now. He is against good microbiome, against good Mav. Women want to they want to know what bacteria they need. This is
Bro,
oppression of the patriarchy.
so cancel, shut down my stream before you start talking about this.
See, deep down inside, all men know that truly the greatest threat to all civilizations is pussy. They know that like nothing.
They know.
They know, right? Derek, you agree with me, right?
Gina.
Yeah, I got to get a different microphone. Sorry.
Come on, man. Happy
Do-
wife, happy life. We all know it.
Do-
Ain't
Doomer, I
no
swear to God,
way.
Doomer, if you get my YouTube channel killed, bro, you owe me some free Doomer merch.
Wait, what did you say? Sell you some free Doomer merch?
No, give me free Doomer merch.
Sorry, one more time. I'm in a loud background.
Free Doomer
Okay,
merch.
if I were to get into the world of merching, what would be the first merch I've been selling? I've been thinking about this. What do you think I need? Like, yeah, what product is best?
I don't know. Sarah Beth came up with some good ideas. Oh wait, was I not supposed to know that?
It's okay. It's going to come out one way or another. You know what I mean? This community, either the truth never comes out, but some version of the lie comes out way too early in this community. So I only have really retarded ideas of stupid ideas for Doomer merch, like Doomer diapers. What else have I thought of? I've thought of other things, right? But I think the best
What about like a Doomer pH kit balance thing?
a Doomer what?
pH balance kit.
That is a catastrophic idea. Yes. Is it for measuring the pH or for fixing the pH? All in one, right? It's all in
Wow,
one.
dude. Shut up and take my money, bro. Just give it to me already.
That's gonna get clipped. Yeah. And so I think seriously, the best product I would want to sell is a fucking tinfoil hat. I can't think of a better product. I think people would buy it ironically and unironically. And all tinfoil hats currently look ugly. I want like a really high quality baseball hat, maybe not even with aluminum lining, like actual fucking tin, something that's like a Faraday cage. Aliens can't
We
read
can
your
do
mind.
this. I'm working on the mock up as we speak.
Tell me this isn't a good idea. This might be the best idea I've had.
Well, I was thinking about having it be aluminum lined, and then you said it had to be like real fucking
No, we
aluminum.
can
So,
do
god
aluminum.
damn it.
It's fine, but like I want it to
We
look
got to
good.
have options,
We
okay?
can
We're
have
workshopping
options,
it.
but I want it to look sexy.
Yo, someone got
Well,
hats. I know
always.
someone's got that. Yo, and Derek is friends with them. So Leap Project, he has the hats. He's got the aluminum hat, baseball cap.
We have the people who can do the
Uh,
baseball caps, and then we need to line it with either aluminum or tin. Do you know what I mean? And I want it to be like military grade aluminum. You know what I mean? I don't